Next, we'll go to Mr. Messmer from Indiana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for all the witnesses for being here today. As currently proposed, OSHA's heat, illness, and injury prevention rule is unworkable, overly prescriptive, and out of step with the practical realities and operational needs. It's a one-size-fits-all framework that fails to account for a wide variation in work environments across the industries, including differences in job functions and geographic climates. Ms. Watson, while we all agree on the importance of protecting workers' health and safety, how could this rule be revised to allow employers to tailor compliance strategies to their specific circumstances?
Thank you for the question, sir. I think one of the main reasons, or one of the main ways that it can be revised to actually be workable, is to really focus on even something that formed the basis of OSHA's National Emphasis Program on heat, and that is water, rest, shade, but also having training, which is also part of OSHA's existing National Emphasis Program, and really focusing on what it means, what it looks like, how to recognize the signs and symptoms of heat illness and heat stroke, what to do in that emergency, and focus on those elements, providing water, providing shade. Many of the home builders I've spoken with across the country, when this rule first hit OSHA's radar of doing a rulemaking, prior to even the advance notice of proposed rulemaking, was how do we keep this simple? How do we get this so everybody understands what they're supposed to do, and that they can comply with it, and it needs to be flexible. I've talked to builders in New Mexico who say 80 degrees is a great day to build. It's perfect weather. And you might have something completely different in Florida. So the heat triggers are a little bit difficult, but really the focus of a program or a regulation should be water, rest, shade, rest breaks when they need them, not necessarily mandated every 2 hours if under the high heat trigger is proposed. Having something that is clear and straightforward and provides that flexibility for the type of job site it is or workplace it is, but also that the employees can understand. And it needs to use terms that are simple and clear-cut. A lot of employees struggle with that word, acclimatization. How do you say it? What does it mean? What does it really look like in practice? And so that reality needs to be that it has to be something that is workable, that everybody understands, that is simple and straightforward. The more complex, the more burdensome the regulation is for rulemaking and record keeping, that just makes it harder for small businesses, especially, to handle. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Parson, the Biden OSHA ignored calls from employers to consider the climate varies from region to region. What may be considered an extreme temperature in one part of the country could be normal in another. How does the geographic location of employees determine the best way to protect them from heat-related injuries and illnesses?
I think similar to what Ms. Watson said, the challenges in Texas are different than the challenges in Maine. And the geographies are different, the employees are different, and they're used to working in different climates. And so having a standard that says this fits everybody and is going to work for everybody makes no sense. In my career, we were paving roads in Austin, Texas in July. And you can imagine the heat involved with that. So local management, providing local solutions and looking after your own employees there on the ground makes much more sense than prescription in this case. And so trying to figure out what that means is going to be important.
Okay, thank you. Could you go into detail on if a heat rule was enacted, how the heat rule would negatively impact members of your association and what changes you'd have to make to comply to the rule?
It would definitely increase cost and likely decrease productivity. So it's going to get in the way of making progress on the things that we're trying to do.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Watson, is there a way under existing law that the federal government could supersede state heat standards through regulatory action?
Your Honor, excuse me, sir, I think the problem with that potentially is, and not having looked at this issue in detail, is that the OSHA Act itself allows states to come up with their own plans, provided that they're at least as effective as federal OSHA. Now, while federal OSHA has never identified or defined what at least as effective as means, the states do have the ability to come up with their plans. So with respect to any type of preemption, that would be difficult, and that would take thorough analysis, which I don't think the committee needs to hear at this point. But it should be something that is focused and consistent across the states. I mean, I think that's one of the issues with a lot of the people I've spoken with that fall under the scope of this, is that the rules in all these different states are conflicting. So if a business has multiple locations, each one is going to be slightly different. And I think that inconsistency is extremely problematic.
Thank you. I yield back my time.